This story begins with a grown man and woman facing each other. The man's face is confused, and he asks the woman for just one word to say that this is his child. He is worried, his face shows incomprehension, but he repeats his question over and over again. He begs to say if Gina is really his daughter, their common daughter. His hands are clutching an expensive suit. The woman hesitates and trembles. She does not understand why his face is contorted with pain, because it was not easy for her. It was she who endured a lot of suffering, raising a child on her own. The woman raises her hand to the man's face, gently touching his cheek. She still has feelings for him and doesn't understand why he, the one who left her with the child, looks so unhappy. The man continues to ask for answers, and the woman decides to answer him, for his sake and everything that was between them. Taking a full chest of air, she confirms his guesses. Gina is really his daughter. The man's face is full of colorful emotions. This is shock, hope, and joy. Meanwhile, the woman continues to speak. She says that Gina is their common child. We move 7 years earlier and see a positive pregnancy test in the girl's hands. She holds him and can't believe that this really happened. She was not ready for a child. Lee Chono collapses on the table in despair, covering her face with her hands, surrounded by several other positive pregnancy tests. She was sure that the first test was simply wrong, but now she sees the truth. Lee Chono remembers that she got drunk yesterday, but tells herself that it's not the most important thing right now. The girl tries with all her might to calm down and pull herself together. Panic will not help her now. She tries to remember when she could have gotten pregnant. Scenes of their sex with her boyfriend Ji-hoon creep into the girl's head. At the same time, she understands that he would never do this on purpose. One particularly sensitive scene appears in her mind, and Lee Jono realizes that it happened at that very moment. The girl sits all red from memories and shame. She doesn't know how to tell Ji-hoon. She wonders if he'll get mad, then realizes it's his fault. A notification on her phone distracts her from her anxious thoughts. It is Ji-hoon who writes that he is almost there. Lee Chono realizes that she completely forgot about the time with her role models and is now late for her date with Ji-hoon. She quickly drops the positive tests in the desk drawer and rushes to the meeting. The girl quickly steps to the meeting place until suddenly she freezes in the middle of a crowded street. She sees Ji-hoon and is floored by how attractive he is. Ji-hoon stands by the wall and looks at his phone, waiting for Lee Jono. The girl's joyful exclamation tears his eyes from the screen, and he looks at her with a smile. Ji-hoon asks why Chono is dressed so lightly. He is worried about her and her health. She doesn't answer right away, so he takes off his own coat and throws it over her shoulders. Lee Jono and young Ji-hoon have been dating for 6 months, and the couple met 8 months ago during a student trip to Australia, and it happened quite by accident. Chono was crying in front of the grocery store because she hadn't eaten anything in 2 days. It was at this moment that she bumped into young Ji-hoon. He worriedly approached the crying girl and asked what happened. After it was revealed that Chono was starving, Ji-hoon immediately gave her money for food. The girl remembers with warmth and tenderness that he was kind to her from the very first meeting. Lee Chono remembers their meetings. Dinner with delicious fried chicken and carefree conversations. The way Ji-hoon held her close under one umbrella, hiding her from the rain. She thinks he is the perfect guy. The girl sees his kind smile, but can't help but worry about whether Ji-hoon paid proper attention to contraception. Was every bit of their sex safe? Ji-hoon offers to go somewhere to eat something delicious, but Chono nervously says that she is not hungry. Ji-hoon can't believe it, because Chono likes to eat, but actually makes the girl a little sick. Ji-hoon stops, looking at Chono with a worried look. He checks her forehead with his hand for temperature and is very worried about her. The guy pulls Chono close and says they have to go. He wants to take her home and make sure she gets some rest because she doesn't look very well. When they reach Chono's house, Ji-hoon tries to send her off to rest by herself. The girl invites him with her and assures her that she is full of energy. Actually, she wants to talk about the pregnancy. Ji-hoon awkwardly rubs his own neck and says that he needs to finish some business, so he should go home too. He really worries about the girl and thinks that she should rest properly. Suddenly, someone calls out to Lee Chono, drawing both of their attention. A friendly young man appears in front of them, waving his hand happily. He loves Lee Chono and is very happy to see her. The boy touches Lee Chono's head and wonders how they could not see each other for so long, since they are neighbors. He assumes that she has a lot to do and Chono is always busy. The girl confirms it. The guy teases Lee Chono, they say. It's all because of a date. They banter amicably, while Jihoon is angry with jealousy in the background and feels uncomfortable. He doesn't like Sunbae. At some point, Sunbae realizes that Jihoon is not happy for him, so he wishes them a good date and says goodbye. Chono happily sees him off while Jihoon continues to be angry. Chono starts to say that this boy is a senior from her department and lives nearby, but Jihoon interrupts her. He offers to go to the girl's apartment. His important affairs suddenly disappeared. Lee Chono stands at his door, entering the combination lock. The cheerful atmosphere suddenly disappeared, and the girl starts to get nervous again. She doesn't know why Jihoon changed his mind and decided to visit her anyway. At the same time, Chono realizes that this is exactly what she needed. She has to tell Jihoon about her pregnancy right away, but she doesn't know how to do it and whether he will understand her correctly. Right after they enter the apartment, Jihoon hugs Chono tightly from behind, pulling him close. Suddenly, her bag falls to the floor. Jihoon says his girlfriend is too pretty. Jihoon nervously hugs Chono and thinks that her beauty causes problems with other men. However, Chono counters that he thinks Jihoon is much more beautiful than her. The boy does not understand what she is talking about, because in his eyes there is no one more beautiful than Chono. He says that he likes her beauty like the moon and hugs the girl from the front, looking at her. Suddenly, Jihoon says that the apartment is cold and promises to warm the girl. He then leans into Chono and kisses her passionately, enjoying the moment of intimacy. Lee Chono breaks the kiss. She asks Jihoon to wait and collects her thoughts, keeping her eyes on him. The girl takes a step back and takes Jihoon's hands. She is going to tell him about her pregnancy. Chono is very curious to see how her boyfriend's face will look when he hears everything. Chono is nervous, and instead of admitting her pregnancy, she tells the boy that she is just hungry. He laughs that he already knew she hadn't eaten anything. Jihoon agrees that it is necessary to eat and challenges himself to cook something. Chono is moved and looks at him with loving eyes while taking off her coat. Jihoon is in the kitchen, masterfully helping to prepare delicious food for Chono, if they haven't already gone to someplace. The girl looks fascinated at his cooking. The guy puts a plate of fragrant food in front of her, steaming from it, and offers to start eating. He himself is not going to, and although Chono believes that she will not fit so much, he eats everything in a couple of minutes. Jihoon reaches forward with concern and touches the girl's forehead, asking how she is feeling now. Chono replies that it's fine, although she understands that she felt fine before that as well. The guy is going to go because he still has business. However, before that, he washes the dishes, worrying that Chono will not overexert himself. Suddenly, Jihoon's gaze falls on the table, which still has one positive pregnancy test. His eyes widen. He can't quite believe what he's seeing. The guy asks Chono what it is, and she is shocked, because she didn't want him to find out like this. The girl knocks the test out of Jihoon's hands and puts it in the drawer where all the other tests are already lying. She tries to close the drawer, but Jihoon stops her and asks again what it all means. Chono shivers and looks away, but Jihoon puts a hand on her shoulder and tells her it's okay. He suggests that they calm down first. Jihoon says everything is fine and they will talk later. He promises to call her and be in touch, while he quickly puts on his coat and leaves the apartment. Lee Chono is left alone in the apartment. She is confused and scared. The girl cannot fully understand Jihoon's reaction, and it worries her. Chono can't sleep late at night, tossing and turning on the bed in his pajamas. Suddenly, her phone starts ringing. This is Jihoon. She quickly picks up the phone. Jihoon asks if he didn't wake up Chono, and when he hears that he didn't, he asks if the girl put the tangerine in his pocket, as if nothing happened. He is grateful to Chono for his concern. Jihoon offers Chono to go to a women's consultation together because she needs to register. Chono does not expect to hear this. She is confused because she thought that everything was bad. Jihoon says he did some research and found out that going to counseling is necessary. He says these words, holding in his hand a red box, similar to the one in which wedding rings are sold. Chono starts to cry. All the tension she's had since Jihoon left spilling out. She says she thought Jihoon was mad at her. The guy replies that it's not like that and offers to meet again and talk and then go to women's counseling. He is happy to hear that Chono agrees. Jihoon wants to tell Chono that he loves her, but decides to do it the next day. After the conversation, he sits dreamily and happily, thinking about tomorrow and how he will confess to the girl. Jihoon mentions that they always used contraception, but there was one time when they decided to go without it. He has the scene of that tender time in his head, and he wants to get married as soon as possible. The guy lovingly thinks about how much he loves Chono and wants to become even better for her. He holds the wedding ring in his hand and smiles. The next day, Jihoon receives a message from Chono in the morning. She writes that they will meet later. The error message, and Jihoon thinks it's really cute. Jihoon gathers in front of the mirror. He pulls on his best shirt. The guy plans to leave the house at 2 o'clock earlier because he still needs to stop by to pick up flowers for Chono. At this time, Jihoon receives a call from his mother. She is unhappy that he did not show up for the family dinner and did not even call. Jihoon apologizes to her. Mother displeasedly says that he is always busy and tells the latest news. She asks her son to be careful, and Jihoon agrees. And he also tells his mother that he will introduce her to someone soon. After putting on his best suit and putting the wedding ring in his pocket, Jihoon leaves the apartment full of hopes and expectations. Jihoon thinks that their children will be very beautiful if they go to Chono. He imagines pictures of a happy family life since the birth of their child. The guy continues to fantasize about what his future life will be like when their child grows up a little. He wants to be the best father and give the child a lot of attention. Jihoon walks through the underground parking lot among other cars. He checks his watch, nervous that he might be late. The sudden screeching sound of the tires and the blinding light of the headlights catch him by surprise. Jihoon can't see anything, and a car is driving at him at breakneck speed. Jihoon falls to the floor from the impact. He is disoriented and can hardly think while his head bleeds. The blow was very strong. Jihoon doesn't believe what happened. A stranger in a black cap and gray clothes gets out of the car and approaches Jihoon. He asks if he's ever heard a name, but Jihoon can't make out what he's saying. The stranger walks away and Jihoon continues to lie on the floor, bleeding. He begs for salvation. The last thoughts on his mind were Chono and their child. Jihoon imagines Chono crying over this situation and doesn't want that. He is also very worried that she will not give up their child because of what happened to him. Jihoon's mother is sitting in the waiting room of the hospital, crying bitterly because of what happened to her son. She does not believe that such misfortune could happen to her son. A woman nearby tries to calm her down. The hospital is being attended by police officers who are investigating the incident. They apologize to her. Surveillance cameras failed to record the attack. However, the car recorder of another car recorded the numbers of the attacker. The woman begs the policeman to catch the criminal at any cost. She bows her head low and does not stop crying even for a second. Suddenly, a young girl appears in the waiting room. She specifies the name of the attacker and stubbornly says that she is a witness. The girl had to move into the house and was passing by the parking lot where she saw the attack. The girl leans over to Jihoon's mother and says that she is his son's friend, Inbi. She studied in the US, but recently transferred back and just flew in. He asks if the woman recognizes her. Jihoon's mother recognizes her and seeks support from the girl, not knowing what to do. Inbi assures that the operation will be successful and wipes away the woman's tears. He tells her to go home and rest. At the police station, Inbi calmly gives the investigator a clear description of the attacker, confidently describes his clothes, height, even his voice. Suddenly, a suspect, Kim Jin-gu, is brought into the station. As soon as Inbi sees him, he immediately recognizes him and points out to the police that it was definitely him. The attacker resists, says that he is seeing this girl for the first time and that she is lying. But Inbi confidently shouts that he even recognizes Jin-gu's voice and that he is 100% the one who attacked Jihoon. After apprehending the assailant, the police wish Jihoon's mother a speedy recovery for her son and give her all his belongings that he had with him at the time of the attack. The package includes a phone, a card, and a wedding ring. Mother is sitting in Jihoon's room. There is no one near them. Jihoon is lying on a ventilator. Something bothers the woman and she dares to take a desperate step. She puts his finger to the phone, unlocking it, and begins to read her son's private messages. Finds a correspondence with Chono and disgustedly writes to her on behalf of Jihoon, asking her not to call again. Chono does not find a place for himself. She rushes from corner to corner throughout the apartment and can't believe that this is all that Ji-hoon wants to tell her after 3 days of complete silence. He is not that kind of person. In Ji-hoon's apartment, his mother looks at the photo with Chono and realizes that her son wanted to introduce her to her. She considers the girl abnormal and ugly because she has an incomplete family. The mother shakes with disgust. She believes that this girl is not worthy of her son. Suddenly, someone tries to enter the apartment, and the woman hears a girl's voice calling Ji-hoon, asking if he is at home. The mother opens the door, coming face to face with an excited and scared Lee Chono. But at first she thinks that she has chosen the wrong apartment, but the woman calls her by name, offering to come in. The woman sees that the girl begins to take off her shoes immediately after the invitation, and concludes that Chono lacks education. She argues this to herself by the fact that she grew up without a father. Ji-hoon's mother immediately begins to scold Chono for everything in a row. She says that her son has changed his password, and that these tricks should be stopped. Chono only apologizes. She doesn't understand why they treat her like that. The girl asks if everything is okay with Ji-hoon, which makes the mother mad. She yells at the girl and says that he asked her to talk to the annoying Chono. Ask her never to appear again. Chono tearfully pleads to talk to Ji-hoon just once, but his mother yells at her in disgust and blames what happened to Ji-hoon. However, she does not say what exactly happened. 2 weeks later, the mother is sitting in Ji-hoon's ward, holding his hand. She doesn't understand why her son still hasn't recovered, because it's been 2 weeks and the operation was successful. Inbi enters the ward and immediately rushes to the woman, calling her mother. Inbi asks about the woman's condition, and she says she's fine. The girl says that she should be more careful with her health. The woman really likes Inbi. She thinks she is clever and has heard that she is the daughter of a judge. She is sure that Inbi has an excellent education and is convinced that Ji-hoon should be dating her. Inbi says goodbye to Ji-hoon's mother and is left alone with him in the ward. The girl smiles, looking at him, and thinks that Ji-hoon is handsome even in bandages and on a ventilator. The door suddenly opens, interrupting the girl's thoughts about the kiss. This is Park Seung-gyu, Ji-hoon's friend and co-worker. His appearance scared Inbi, and she was not happy to see him. The girl asks what he is doing here. Seung-gyu is surprised by such a question because he came to visit his friend, but the girl herself seems suspicious to him. Seung-gyu begins to look for inaccuracies in Inbi's testimony and the time of her appearance at the station. Something is not right, and the girl looks scared and worried. She definitely has something to hide. Inbi's clumsy attempts to deny the accusations are interrupted by Ji-hoon finally coming to his senses. The girl instantly concentrates on this, leaving Seung-gyu's question unanswered. They take turns calling Ji-hoon, happy that he has come to his senses, but he gives them a strange look. He is confused and does not understand what is happening around him. Sweat broke out on his body. Ji-hoon asks who they are, not recognizing either a friend or an acquaintance. Seung-gyu and Inbi freeze around the hospital bed in shock. The girl gasps and presses her hand to her mouth. Seung-gyu tries to tell Ji-hoon about their acquaintance, about university, service together. Ji-hoon is even more surprised. He does not even remember that he served in the army. He has complete amnesia. Ji-hoon's mother rushes into the ward in despair. She anxiously hugs her son to her and says that she was incredibly worried about him. Ji-hoon recognizes his mother. It seems that his amnesia is partial after all. Her mother's desperate screams give Ji-hoon a headache and she has to leave the ward. There she learns that due to amnesia, he has lost all memories of the past 3 years, but remembers everything else. Ji-hoon's mother meets Inbi and tells her everything she learned from the doctors. Inba's hands are shaking. The girl says that she is worried that because of this, Ji-hoon might forget her too. Inbi tells Ji-hoon's mother that he actually confessed his feelings for her and even offered to officially meet when she returns to Korea. Inbi is nervous, but Ji-hoon's mother believes her without question. However, the woman is very happy to hear this and tells Inbi that they can start over. Ji-hoon's mother supports the girl in every way in this matter and treats her with great warmth and care. Ji-hoon is still in his room. He is confused by the lack of memories. It torments him. His mother enters the ward and asks how her son is doing. Ji-hoon honestly answers that not really. Upset by such an answer, the mother tries to change the topic to something pleasant. She talks about Inbi coming to see Jihoon every day while he was unconscious. Jihoon is surprised by what Inbi said, because he doesn't remember anything between them. Moreover, he directly tells his mother that Inbi is not to his taste. Maybe he just doesn't remember. The mother says that maybe Inbi is exaggerating a little, but insists that she is a very sweet girl and very kind to her. These are giving Jihoon a terrible headache again. The mother is alarmed by this pain, but Jihoon tells her that everything is fine. It seems to him that he has forgotten something incredibly important, and the inability to remember hurts him both physically and mentally. Chono stands at a women's consultation and looks at a happy couple, a pregnant woman and her partner. It hurts her to look at it. The girl feels abandoned and useless and runs home. Pregnancy makes Chono feel sick. Along with her physical illness, the situation with Jihoon hurts her a lot, and the girl's general condition is simply terrible. Suddenly, the phone rings, flashing Jihoon's contact on the screen. Chono jumps up on the bed, answering the call. She calls Jihoon and hears his voice on the phone. Chono trembles and asks Jihoon why he disappeared and what happened. She is alarmed and cares for her beloved from the bottom of her heart. Jihoon replies that he is fine. Chono wants to come to Jihoon, but he says that she talked to his mother. Has it not reached Chono that everything is over between them? Chono turns pale from these words and cannot believe what he heard. The voice on the receiver continues to tell how Chono is fed up with him. He tells the girl to stay away, or she will face the consequences and she won't like them. The call is carelessly cut off. Chono can't believe what just happened. She thinks it's all just a bad joke. The girl calls Jihoon again, but his number is no longer serviced. Chono is in despair. Chono and Jihoon's baby has a first birthday. She called Chono mom for the first time. She also sometimes says dad, although Chono doesn't know where she learned it from. The girl learned to walk. Her name is Gina. She is growing very smart and eats well. Chono adores his daughter, is always happy when he sees her, and smiles sincerely at the girl. Next year, Gina will go to the first grade. She is 5 years old, and her relationship with her mother is simply wonderful. Chono smiles even though her face is tired. She is no longer waiting for Jihoon. Gina is a very beautiful girl. Her eyes are exactly like her mother's. She asks Chono outside why the toy machine is there. Gina is a very inquisitive girl at the age of 5. The grown-up Chono laughs at this question and says that Gina is not asking because she is interested, but because she actually wants a toy from this machine. She knows her own daughter's antics very well. Gina fumbles and confirms her mother's guesses. Chono agrees, but only for one toy, and this makes the girl crazy excited. She is really very cheerful. 2 balls fall out to Gina, a black and a white one, and the girl is happy because they remind her of pebbles for playing Go. Gina adores him. Chono looks at her with a gentle smile. Chono thinks that from now on she really doesn't want Jihoon in her life anymore. She doesn't care anymore because she has Gina. Chono and Gina are standing next to each other and holding hands. They are happy. Chono and Gina return home to their grandmother, Chono's mother. They sit down to dinner and praise the old woman's food because she cooks really well. Grandma is very pleased to hear these warm words. Chono tells his daughter not to play at the table as she pulls out her new balls from her pocket. Gina obeys, and the grandmother looks at them both with a smile. She remembers the time when she raised Chono alone without a father. Grandma slips Yenny the best goodies. Chono says that now she will spoil the child and she will not eat properly, but Gina assures that everything will be fine. The family laughs merrily at this dialogue. Chono wants to help his mother with the dishes, but she only says that Chono should rest and prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Chono's first day of work at a new place. Chono leaves the house, full of hope and in good spirits. The sunny weather seems to hint to her that everything should be wonderful in the new place. Grandma and Gina wish her all the best. On her way to work, Chono learns that her company has been bought by another, bigger one, and now she will not be working where she planned from the beginning. The girl hopes that this will not become a problem. While Chono is looking at the bulletin board, she is called by name from behind. This is Park Seung-gyu, Jihoon's friend who works in the Human Resources Department of Chono's new workplace, Max Corporation. Chono does not know him. Xingyu introduces Chono to his boss, the head of production team #2, where Chono will be working. She works as a copywriter and immediately likes this woman, Song Miran. Chono sincerely smiles back at the woman and says that he also hopes for fruitful cooperation. Women shake hands tightly with smiles on their faces. Chono thinks that Miran looks kind. Miran takes Chono to her place of work, checking on the way whether she was confused by such a sudden transfer from one company to another. There are several employees sitting in the office, but for some reason it is very quiet. Chono begins to meet new colleagues. The first of them is graphic designer Sun Ki-hoon. A young, cheerful boy greets Chono warmly, a big smile on his face. Next is Deputy Director Park Young-kwan, a grown man with a bit of unkempt stubble on his chin. He greets a little more formally, but still smiles and waves amiably. And the last one is graphic designer Guo Yingju. An attractive young girl at first does not even look away from the computer to say hello, but then she says hello anyway, because she seems arrogant. Chono says that he hopes to work with everyone, and sits down at his workplace, looking around in all directions. This is a classic office, where each workplace is separated from others by a low partition. Miran whispers to Song Ki-hoon why the atmosphere in the office is tense. The boy also whispers to her that Director Young has arrived, and that's why everyone is a little nervous, knowing his character. Miran tells Chono that their director is actually even scarier than the CEO. He has only been in the department for a week, but he has already managed to restore order. He is the son of the chairman of the company. Stepping out into the hallway, Chono suddenly sees Ji-hoon in a suit. He is talking to someone from the office and looks unmoved. Chono cannot believe that it is really him, that life has dealt with her like this. Ji-hoon sees her and Chono freezes in place out of nervousness. Her pupils dilate and she looks dazed and scared. Chono still remembers every detail of Ji-hoon's body and face. Ji-hoon moves closer to Chono, interested in the new person in the office. The girl's legs begin to tremble, but from the stress, Chono loses control of his body and begins to fall right in front of Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon reacts instantly and catches Chono, who is almost passed out. Vid finds himself a few centimeters from the girl's face and holds her firmly in his hands. However, there is no recognition on his face. Chono imagined their meeting many times, that they would meet by chance and she would not allow herself to be offended again. In reality, she just freezes with an expression of longing and pity on her face. Miran realizes that something is wrong and quickly jumps to Chono and Ji-hoon. She tells the director that this is their new copywriter and is trying her best to get things back to working order. Ji-hoon immediately recovers from Chono's unexpected fall and extends his hand to her in a businesslike manner, stating his name and position, and welcoming him to the team. He sees Chono for the first time and does not remember her. We see a young mother with a young son who resists and does not want to go class. The kid thinks it's boring there and gives his mother a real tantrum, pushing back with all his might. In an attempt to convince her son, the woman promises him that for the half hour he spends at the center, she will let him play video games for half an hour at home. The boy wipes his tears and asks for an hour. The woman agrees to let him go, but after that she stands at the door and is tormented by remorse. She doesn't know if she's a good mother if it's not the first time she talks to her child through video games. In the center, Yana, who also goes to this center for learning the game of Go, sits next to the boy. She tells the boy to stop crying and promises to show him something interesting. It works. The boy looks at her intently. Gina puts 6 pebbles of different colors on his hand and says that if he drops even one, she will hang him. The boy is confused and does not understand what she is doing and why. Gina says her name, and the boy his, Pak Dobin. Gina says that she knows which kindergarten he goes to. She saw how his briefcase was signed. Dobin realizes that she paid attention to him and shuffles away. Gina explains to him the basic rules of the game and asks what stones Dobin wants to play with. She smiles sweetly at the same time, and Dobin really likes her. He chooses black stones and therefore goes second. Gina realizes that Dobin can play and is surprised by this. She asks the boy why he was crying then, because in her opinion the reason is his inability to play Go. After that, she asks him not to cry anymore. Dobin is impressed by Gina and thinks that in all his 6 years he has never met such a girl. He falls in love with Gina from the first meeting and finds her incredible. There is no one around except Gina. Dobin smiles as he leaves the center and his mother is impressed. She has never seen her son like this center, and it makes her happy. She hugs Dobin tightly and they smile. The The boy asks her if she fell in love with Dad at first sight and tells her that he fell in love with Gina. He promises to work hard at every Go lesson for her from now on and looks enthusiastic. Ji-hoon looks tired at work. He leans back in his chair, unable to focus on his work, and wondering why he keeps thinking about the case with the new copywriter. Moran comes to him and hands Ji-hoon the current list of candidates for official employment. He sees Lee Chono's name among the others and asks Moran if she had a medical examination before work. Moran assures him that he is, but Ji-hoon doubts that Chono is in good health. He says that she was barely able to stay on her feet, and Moran thinks that the woman got better as soon as she and Ji-hoon broke up. Ji-hoon looks thoughtful. Somewhat interested, he asks Moran to send Lee Chono's assistant to his office, and do it immediately. Moran agrees and follows Chono. In the office, Song Ki-hoon shows Chono how certain things work at work. Chono catches his every word and is very grateful to Ki-hoon for helping her settle down. The guy is happy to help. Moran tells Chono that the director asks her to come to him immediately. She is nervous about hanging out with Ji-hoon, but with the last of her strength, she offers Chono to go with her for moral support. Moran insists that she will go with Chono, but warns her to be careful because the headmaster is on his nerves for some reason. Chono doesn't understand why Ji-hoon acts as if they are strangers. Moran brings Chono to Ji-hoon's office while she is lost in thoughts about the past. Ji-hoon gets up from his desk and approaches Chono. He asks her if she's okay, a little worried. While Chono remains silent, Ji-hoon continues to speak. He notes that he noticed how uncomfortable the woman was and clarifies whether this is due to the fact that she went to work at one company and ended up at another. Next, Ji-hoon begins to praise his own company, saying that it is much better than the one Chono went to. The woman stands opposite with a displeased face and wonders if she was called for this delusion. Ji-hoon asks if Chono is dealing with his work and smiles after a short answer. He says that he expected a detailed answer from the copywriter. An angry Chono thinks he's being bullied. At the end of the working day, Park Seung-gyu looks into Ji-hoon's office. He formally addresses his friend, but Ji-hoon tells him to be informal and jokingly threatens to transfer him to another department. While Seung-gyu is annoyed by this joke, Ji-hoon asks him if he is really as scary as they say. Seung-gyu stubbornly confirms that yes, and what, even when he's just talking calmly. Seung-gyu asks what happened and Ji-hoon tells about the new employee. He is worried that she turned pale when she saw him. A friend sarcastically says that she is far from the only one. Seung-gyu realizes that his friend has been thinking about someone for the first time in a long time and begins to sarcastically question whether Chono's assistant is really so cute that she's taken a liking to Ji-hoon himself. Ji-hoon shies away from answering. Seung-gyu invites Ji-hoon to his home because Ji-hoon's mother ordered him to repeat it to show an example of a happy family. Ji-hoon says that there is no point in obeying. You can only pretend that he invited. Seung-gyu says hurtfully that he's not like Ji-hoon, who only pretends and pretends. Ji-hoon gets into the car and thinks that this is how it is. He pretends not to be bothered by the loss of his memories. Ji-hoon thinks that his life, devoid of challenges, is boring and monotonous. He arrives at his empty house and slowly undresses, repeating the same actions day after day. He thinks he's more interested in girls with long hair, but at the same time, he's had some kind of obsession with noon for a long time, and the name Chono is precisely translated as south. Ji-hoon drinks a glass and falls tiredly on the couch. He is exhausted due to a hard day's work and constant thoughts about the new assistant, which does not leave his head. He cannot help himself. Suddenly, Ji-hoon hears the lock click and someone enters his apartment. He hears soft footsteps and sees Lee Chono at the other end of the room. Ji-hoon is confused and asks the girl how she got here. Chono doesn't say anything, just lowers his eyes, and soon she rushes to Ji-hoon, quickly crossing the room and sits on his lap, greedily pressing her whole body to him. Chono kisses Ji-hoon and it makes his head explode. He grabs her waist and in one swift movement flips Chono onto the sofa. Now he is hovering over her and looking at her lips. At that moment, the obsession disappears and Ji-hoon regains consciousness on the floor near the sofa. He gasps for air and tries to figure out where Lee Chono has gone. He understands that she was not there from the beginning. Ji-hoon tries to come to his senses, to realize why he saw Chono in himself even in such circumstances. He rubs his head and gradually comes to the decision that he is actually crazy about this woman. Upset, Chono goes home and keeps thinking about the fact that Jihoon called her to his office to make fun of her. She believes that he is not the Jihoon she knew, or rather he never was. However, Chono tells herself that this does not upset her because she has a wonderful yen. The girl joyfully rushes to her as soon as she sees her, and her bright joy seems to fill everything around her. Chono really loves Gina. Chono asks how Gina is doing, and Gina tells her that she met an interesting boy at Go class. The girl does not consider him a friend because he still does not play well. Chono explains that it doesn't work that way. Chono asks if Iena is jealous of Dobina because he has a full family, and the girl says that only a little. Chono apologizes and wonders if Jihoon even knows that she gave birth to their child while hugging Yeona. At a family dinner, Jihoon's mother, noticing how he tiredly stretches his shoulders, worriedly asks what happened, if something hurts. He lies that he just slept uncomfortably, hiding the fall from the sofa. Jihoon thinks that every time he is at his parents' house, he feels strange. He remembers his childhood well, but he does not remember the 3 years that amnesia took away, and this really torments him. The mother comes in to say that the father has already left. Jihoon stops her with a question about the 3 years he doesn't remember, and the woman freezes in surprise. Jihoon insists that she tell him. The woman swallows and with a bright smile begins to lie to Jihoon that nothing special happened at that time. He only served in the army, and nothing else interesting happened during that time. Jihoon is still upset, and to stop further questioning, his mother changes the subject. She remembers the red spot that Jihoon had on his forehead since he was a child, and it would turn red whenever he was upset. The next morning, Chono comes to work tired and not in a good mood. Because of thoughts about Jihoon, she couldn't sleep that night, so she didn't rest at all before work. But work must be done. Kihoon is already in the office, who happily greets Chono. He also came early because he is still a beginner and has to try. He invites her for coffee at the vending machine, and Chono sits down at his desk to lay out his things. While she is doing this, someone calls out to her. A beautiful woman with long hair stands nearby and asks in surprise if it is really Lee Chono. She asks if he recognizes her, and Chono nervously jumps in place. It's Choi Inbi, Jihoon's old friend, and Chono thinks that even if she wanted to, she couldn't forget her. They have known each other since school, and judging by Chono's memories, Inbi did not do anything good. Chono learns that Inbi also works here. Inbi pretends to be very happy to see Chono and asks her how long she's been working and what she's achieved, then casually mocks her, because she's already a manager. Chono remembers how they studied with Inbi in the 10th grade. Once, she persistently tried to give her lipstick, to which Chono apologized and refused, because she had never dyed at that age. Chono politely refused several times, and this rubbed off on the haughty Inbi, who wanted everyone to blame her. From that moment on, Inbi harbored a grudge against Chono and was only looking for an opportune moment to pay her back. A few days later, Chono is in the school cafeteria. The woman who works in the dining room and serves her food is her mother. Chono happily greets her, but the woman asks not to transfer personal information to work and smiles. Inbi sees this, and at the same moment, a plan emerges in her head. She approaches a tired woman who works all day and wipes her sweat with her sleeve. Inbi pretends that she just came to get food. Suddenly, Inbi starts screaming in disgust and asks if it is possible to put food on with dirty hands. Despite the fact that the woman did not touch anything with gloves, Inbi accuses her of being unsanitary. After the woman changes her gloves and apologizes, she hands Inbi another plate of curry. The girl knocks the plate out of her hands and pretends that the woman did it on purpose because of a hygiene remark. Inbi's friends calm her down as the main victim, and the school principal overhears all this. Chono's mother tries to make excuses and tell the truth, but the director won't listen and forces her to apologize. Inbi continues to play comedy and Chono jumps up to intervene, but her mother tells her not to come any closer. Chono can only swallow angry tears of hurt and injustice as he watches this. After this incident, Chono's mother is fired from the school cafeteria, and a satisfied Inbi and her friends continue to spread dirty rumors about her and Chono. Inbi thinks that Chono still happened easily. In the present, Chono looks indifferently at Inbi, who says that she is the manager and must be treated with special respect if Chono does not want to be fired. The situation is frankly annoying. Chono slumps tiredly at his workplace and sighs. Jung Ji-hoon, Choi Inbi, she thinks she now has 2 reasons to resign from this position. He even thinks about writing a statement on his own decision. The phone rings and Chono summons Park Seung-yu. While she does not understand why it was needed, Xing-yu warmly welcomes her. He says that there have been changes in the salary and she will receive more. Chono is pleasantly surprised by this news. She didn't even think about raising her salary this year. Chono joyfully signs the papers and thinks that it is possible not to be fired, blinded by money. Seung-yu has her fill out an employee application form, and Chono sees that there is no deadline for children, so Ji-hoon won't find out anything that way. She happily fills out the form and hands it to Park Seung. After leaving the office, Chono goes to his place and suddenly sees Ji-hoon and a bunch of children. She nervously hides around the corner, not understanding why she keeps bumping into him. Suddenly, he remembers an event for children. The kindergarten teacher thanks Ji-hoon for the opportunity to see the company and hands him a package of cookies. She says they baked all these cookies with the kids and hope he likes them. Ji-hoon says he enjoys eating cookies with the other employees. The children and the teacher joyfully say goodbye to him, and he smiles kindly, waving his hand back at them. But as soon as the door closes, the smile leaves Ji-hoon's face. He strides firmly to the nearest bin and puts his foot down on the pedal, intending to send the cookies into the bin without hesitation. Chono sees this and she can't stand it. With a loud scream, she jumps out of her hiding place around the corner and frantically runs towards Ji-hoon, trying to stop him. Chono grabs Ji-hoon's hand and reprimands him for this act, referring to you, without even thinking about it. In her mind, Chono thinks that her daughter's father is actually a horrible person. It suddenly dawns on Chono that she grabbed her director's hand in a fit of rage and screamed at him. She very carefully lets go of Ji-hoon's hand and is already preparing to make an excuse. At that moment, Ji-hoon suddenly grabs her hand. Now he's the one holding her, not the other way around. In an absolutely calm tone, he asks Chono to exchange numbers. Park Seung-yu sees this from around the corner and is horrified. With incredible speed, Seung-yu jumps up to Ji-hoon, grabs his arm and pulls him away. He makes up an excuse that the director is very late for the meeting and drags Ji-hoon away as quickly as possible. In the elevator, Seung-yu scolds Ji-hoon, saying that he almost gave him a heart attack. You can't just grab a coworker's hand, even if you really like them, because this is harassment. Ji-hoon seems not to hear his friend, continuing to float in the clouds. Seung-yu continues to ramble on until Ji-hoon finally says that Chono addressed him informally. Xing-yu's jaw drops. Annoyed, Chono walks down the corridor. She thinks she was right about Ji-hoon after all. Everything he did in the past was a lie. And now she can't regret it, but you can't fix anything. The phone rings and Chono picks up the phone. On the other side, it's Park Seung-yu again. He apologizes for the director's behavior. Chono says that everything is fine, but she gets annoyed because Ji-hoon could have apologized himself. Seung-yu says that he's an old friend of Ji-hoon and he doesn't remember much, but if he can help, Chono should contact him. Chono politely says goodbye, but she's exhausted from this conversation. Moran suddenly appears and reminds Chono that she has a meeting soon. Chono says that she remembers, although she completely forgot. She's downright scared of meeting Inbi's team. She's too exhausted for today. The meeting is devoted to the development of a new product, which both production teams are engaged in at the same time. Moran introduces everyone to Lee Chono as the new copywriter and assistant. Chono bows to the team. Inbi immediately intervenes, declaring to the whole room that she is incredibly happy to see Chono. She says she doesn't even know what she would do if she were the only copywriter. Inju looks at Inbi disapprovingly. After a difficult and productive meeting, Chono wants to talk to Moran, but Inbi literally squeezes in between them and draws all the attention to herself again, trying to look her best and caring. When Moran asks Inbi when she plans to get married, she starts laughing happily and says that she would like to get engaged this year, but she has so much work to do. Chono walks by with a grim face. Left alone, Moran finally remembers Chono. She whispers to her about the incident when Chono grabbed the principal's arm and asks if it was because he wanted to throw away the baby cookies. Moran says not to judge him too harshly because, although this is a secret, the director was attacked in the past and suffers from amnesia. When Chono hears this, everything inside her turns upside down. She turns pale. Moran continues the story about Jihoon's amnesia. Chono remembers what Seungyu said about Jihoon not remembering much. Her hands and voice are shaking when she asks Moran when the attack happened. Moran asks to wait and checks his phone. She finds the only article not deleted by Jihoon's family, and the date is the 3rd of November, the same day they were supposed to go to the consultation. Chono is shaking and Moran asks if she's sick. Chono says that everything is fine, turns around and quickly runs to Jihoon's office. She leaves Moran behind, worried by such a reaction, and does not react. In the waiting room, Chono asks if the director is there. Hearing that he is gone now, he is on the first floor. Chono turns and runs to the elevator. She realizes that Jihoon wasn't pretending not to know her. Chono sees Jihoon on the first floor and heads towards him. He sees that she is walking right towards him and stops. Chono thinks how badly he suffered that he even lost his memory. Chono asks Jihoon if he knows who she is. He confidently replies that of course he knows. She is the new copywriter of the second production team, Lee Chono. Chono asks if there is anything else, but Jihoon doesn't know. Suddenly, someone calls Jihoon cute and asks what he's doing here. Chono's thoughts about Jihoon having a daughter and having to tell Jihoon are rudely interrupted by Inbi, who approaches. Inbi asks Jihoon if she told him earlier that she and Chono studied together. At the same time, she shines her ring on her ring finger and smiles bitingly at Chono, saying, "Look." Inbi's entire posture and words are full of self-satisfaction. She doesn't shy away from flaunting her relationship with Jihoon, and Chono freezes at the news. Her face is horrified, and it seems to her that nothing worse can happen. Inbi asks Chono if something is wrong, to which Chono says that everything is fine. Inbi changes the subject to a neutral one, asks if Chono is going to dinner, and offers to speak informally when they are alone. Inbi deliberately makes Chono fumble, and she turns and walks away. To her surprise, she seemed to be going to lunch, and the dining room is in the other direction. Chono says that she forgot something in the office and has to go back. Inbi immediately starts acting out the scene. She excitedly asks Jihoon what Chono told him. She warns him to be careful of Chono, as she has been known for lying since school. Jihoon interrupts her with a stern voice. He doesn't want to listen to this gossip about Chono and tells Inbi not to cross the line and to calm down. He obviously knows what kind of character she really has. After that, Jihoon leaves Inbi in the middle of the hall, and he himself goes to his office. Inbi thinks that they are not really in a relationship. They only pretend to be a couple to get rid of unnecessary attention. 4 years ago, Inbi herself suggested that Jihoon pretend they were dating. This would save him from the girls who are constantly around. Jihoon told her to do whatever she wanted, and Inbi was overjoyed. Inbi bragged to everyone about her own ring, which Jihoon had given her, and the news of their relationship quickly spread through the office. Everyone was happy for them and secretly envied Inbi, which she was openly proud of. Inbi secretly checked Jihoon's relationship history and was incredibly happy that he hadn't been in a relationship before. In her opinion, only Inbi can become Jihoon's wife, and she will do her best. Jihoon is sitting in his office. On the table in front of him is the same package of cookies that the kids baked, accompanied by a cute note. All of Jihoon's thoughts are only about Lee Chono again. Jihoon wonders why Chono asked him about who she is. He speculates that it might have been because he grabbed her hand that morning. Jihoon decides to ask Chono directly. Chono is standing by the coffee machine. She is tired. She has a complete mess in her head, but at least at work time flies by imperceptibly. She calls her mother and warns her that she is working overtime today. Mother tells Chono that she found her hairpin. Chono does not remember, because she was looking for her more than a year ago. However, she thinks that it's nothing, that she forgot a little thing, because her memory is not lost like Jihoon's. Inbi asks Chono to take the documents to the meeting room, because they are needed for the meeting. Chono coldly agrees. Inbi immediately starts asking why Chono looks like she's uncomfortable. Chono says everything is fine, but Inbi doesn't calm down. She says, "Is it because I added you jobs?" And, although Chono assures that this is not the case, Inbi does not calm down. Inbi says loudly to the whole office that if she is upset to the point of blushing over such a small thing, she will spoil the mood for everyone else, and that she would rather take it herself. The whole office is watching this performance. Inbi takes the documents and defiantly carries them into the meeting room herself, leaving Chono to think that something is wrong with her. It's like Inbi is doing this on purpose to frame Chono and make her appear incompetent. Xingyu returns home as his son and wife scream from the apartment. Doin categorically does not want to brush his teeth and hides behind his father, asking him for help. Threats do not work. While the mother runs after Doin and tries to get him to brush his teeth after all, Xingyu hugs his youngest daughter. She is much calmer, and there is no such noise and problems from her. Mother tells Doin that he cannot brush his teeth. It's his business. But then she will tell Gina about how dirty and unkempt Doin is. This instantly affects the boy, and he himself goes to the bathroom. Xingyu stands with his daughter in his arms, shocked by what he heard. He does not believe that Doin took it of his own free will and went to brush his teeth. Xingyu even follows him into the bathroom to see if it's true. Doin really brushes his teeth himself. Xingyu still can't believe that his son, who eats goats from the nose, brushes his teeth on his own and is not irritable. He begins to ask his wife who Iena is. The wife says that this is Doin's friend from Go lessons, a very cute and talented girl who also seems smart. He says that the director praises Yena, and Seungyu agrees that Yena is incredible. In the meeting room, Inbi clings to Chono's expression again. She says that she seems to be angry about something. Chono says that's not true, but Inbi counters that that's what she looks like. Inbi says that it wouldn't hurt Chono to work on her facial expression, since she didn't do her any harm just by taking a higher position. Chono is shocked by what he heard. Chono thinks that Inbi has not changed at all and has not become a good person. However, Chono believes that she can reprimand her as much as she wants, because she will not react to it. Inbi has known for too long. Jihoon is a little late for the meeting. He enters when the lights have already gone out, and the participants are lively discussing the project, its advantages, and what people will definitely like about it. Jihoon takes a seat next to Inbi, right across from Chono. Chono absent-mindedly begins to wonder if they are sleeping together. He comes to the conclusion that, of course, they are sleeping, because Jihoon has always been active in this regard. Chono thinks that Jihoon is hardly holding back. It is obvious that he has a different attitude towards the woman he has been with for several years, and the woman he has been with for only 8 months. Chono is lost in her thoughts, but notices Jihoon looking at her again. Moreover, he constantly looks only at her, ignoring the meeting and Inbi, who is sitting next to him. Chono returns home. It is already very late and she is quite tired after work. Mother meets her and says that Gina has already fallen asleep while waiting for her mother to return from work. Chono is exhausted and tells her mother that maybe she should quit. The mother reacts sarcastically, offering to close her restaurant in return. Chono grumbles, but there is no negativity in this argument. During the argument, a sleeping Iena comes into the room, having woken up from their voices. She rubs her eyes with her hand and calls Chono. Chono immediately runs to his daughter, apologizes for the commotion, and offers to sleep together. In bed, Yena complains to her mother that Park Doin is always following her and boring her. However, Chono says it's only because she taught him how to play Go. Gina denies that the teachers are teaching them. As Yena falls asleep, Chono holds her close and sadly thinks that she too wishes she had a teacher. A teacher who would give her answers to all her questions in this life and show her the way. When Jihoon comes to work, he asks his assistant for yesterday's report. But among other things, he says that a new employee, Lee Chono, came to him yesterday around 12 o'clock. Chono and Jihoon are chatting in the office. He points out a mistake in the layout to her, and Chono begs him not to tell anyone, for which she will treat him to dinner. At that moment, Jihoon's assistant calls Chono to him. Chono is nervous, not understanding what Jihoon needed from her again. She freezes with the wrong model in her hands, and Jihoon tries his best to cheer her up and reassure her not to hang her nose. Jihoon reads Chono's expression as soon as he walks into his office and stands across from him. The tension on her wary expression, Jihoon deduces that she definitely has something to tell him. This sense of curiosity ignites Jihoon, and he wants to know more. With a benevolent smile, he invites Chono to sit down, and she accepts his offer, sitting down in the plush chair opposite. Ji-hoon offers Chono the cookies baked by the children from yesterday. She is surprised that he took them away, to which Ji-hoon says that it should have been exactly what she wanted. Chono awkwardly denies this. Ji-hoon changes the subject and tells Chono that he was told about her visit yesterday. Chona is surprised by what she hears. She did not think that the conversation would go into such a rut. Ji-hoon is relaxed and interested. He smiles a gentle smile and asks Chono to explain why she was so desperate to find him. Chono is lost for a moment and does not know what to answer. Ji-hoon offers Chono to just talk, but a refusal pops up in her head. Chono says that she wanted to know the fate of the cookies, because if Ji-hoon were to throw away food again, it would be best to give it to her. Ji-hoon doesn't believe that she only sought him out for that reason. He notes that Chono was crying and didn't say anything, and Chono freezes at the words. She says she cried for personal reasons. Ji-hoon asks if Park Seung-yu ever threatened her, and Chono is surprised, but quickly says no. She calls Park Seung-yu a nice person, and an unspoken, unlike you, hangs in the air. Chono thinks she can't trust Ji-hoon. He didn't tell her what family he was from, forgot her, didn't trust her. How can she trust this man who doesn't even know he has a child? Chono remembers talking to Ji-hoon on the phone after the attack. If he lost his memory, it would be impossible. The woman begins to suspect that she was actually talking to someone else then. Chono takes a deep breath and asks Ji-hoon again firmly if he's ever heard her name. He thinks saying her name out loud, Lee Chono. Ji-hoon guesses that she was filming somewhere and that's why he could hear her name from there. Chono is not at all satisfied with such an answer, and she starts to get angry again, because Ji-hoon is a fool and spouts nonsense. Chono thinks that she should tell Ji-hoon about her daughter right now. For a moment, she is stopped by the thought that he might be planning to get married, but she decides that it is better to know before the wedding. Chono takes a full chest of air and turns to Ji-hoon decisively. She says that she must tell him something. Her look is full of determination and courage. The teacher brings Gina to the Go Center, where the girl is greeted by her teacher. The girl immediately sees that she does not know this person and asks who he is, but the woman does not answer. The unknown woman quickly pulls Gina behind her. When the girl asks where they are going, she answers that they are going to the center. Gina says that they are going to the wrong place, but the woman says that now she will go to another one. Gina realizes that she does not know where she is. She resists and pulls her hands out of the woman's strong grip. The girl says that she will call her mother now, and the woman hurriedly walks away from her in an unknown direction. Gina runs away from the woman for some time and then realizes that she is lost. The confused girl is shaking and calling her teacher and mother, standing right in the middle of the street. In the middle of a game of Go, Doin asks the teacher, who is about to go outside, if she is going to pick up Gina. She says that she is quickly following her, and Doin immediately proposes to her. The teacher agrees. Yena is gone for a long time, and therefore the teacher decides to call the tutor. She says that she gave her the girl a long time ago, and that she should be in the center. The teacher turns pale and says that she did not take Yena away. Just as Chono is about to tell Ji-hoon about everything, her phone starts ringing. She ignores, clinging to the remnants of determination to tell Ji-hoon everything, but he offers to answer himself. In a calm voice, Ji-hoon tells Chono that she should answer the call because it might be something important. Chono agrees. Instead of just picking up the phone, Chono stands up and heads for the exit of Ji-hoon's office. She says she'll be back after she answers, but he didn't want her to leave. Chono sees a call from the director of the center on the screen and wonders what he might want from her. When she picks up the phone and hears that Gina is missing, she almost faints from fear. Chono quits his job and takes a taxi to the Go Center. The teacher already meets her there. Doin and his mother are standing next to her. Chono says that Gina has just been found and is safe. Hearing that a policeman has found Gina and they are already heading to the center, Chono exhales a sigh of relief and sits down on the ground, her legs not holding her. She is breathing hard and her heart is pounding. A woman nearby greets Chono and says that she is Doin's mother, Gina's friend. She says that Doin likes Gina and that's why he wants to stay and see her. Chono smiles at the boy, getting to know each other. Suddenly, Chono sees Yena accompanied by a policeman and rushes towards her with a shout. Gina holds the policeman's hand and shouts something to her mother, jumping cheerfully. Gina throws herself into the arms of Chono, who crouches down and carefully looks at the girl with tears in her eyes. Chono wants to make sure that everything is okay with her daughter, and Gina says that she is not hurt anywhere. Chono asks how she could have gone somewhere alone, to which Gina replies that she wasn't alone, but with another female teacher. Chono does not understand who she is talking about, and the policeman assures that he will search. The policeman gets to know Chono and says that he will definitely check all the CCTV cameras in the neighborhood to find the woman. Chono thanks him profusely for saving his daughter and bows low. Jihoon begins to suspect that Chono's call is delayed, so he leaves his office and asks the assistant if she has seen Chono. She says that she left some time ago and did not return. The tutor and the teacher tearfully apologize to Chono and admit that what happened to Gina is their fault. Chono tells them that Gina is alive and unharmed, so everything is fine. Dobin's mother, who is still standing by, tells Chono that it was not an easy day. And what's more, she has a car and can take them wherever they need to go, because Chono is definitely exhausted. Chono awkwardly agrees. The women are talking in the car. It turns out that they are on their way. Dobin's mother's parents run a flower shop in the market, and Chono's mother runs her restaurant there. It seems that this acquaintance is fate. Yena says that they drew wild animals in kindergarten today and shows Chono her drawing. Chono does not understand who is drawn there, so he learns from a satisfied Gina that it is a deer. Suddenly, Chono finds a note in Gina's backpack. This is some kind of investigation about Gina, where it is written that her appearance is like her mother's, but her character is like her father's. Chono breaks through an icy sweat. Chono realizes that someone knows. Someone knows about Gina's existence and whose child she is. Someone is watching her and the child, and their lives are in danger. She wonders if she should go to the police. Dobin's mom distracts Chono. She asks if Chono is working, and upon hearing that she is, calls her incredible. After all, Chono has time to both work and be a mother. Chono shrugs and thanks for the compliment. Dobin's mother sometimes offers to take Gina home after kindergarten, where she and Dobin will play while Chono is at work. Chono is embarrassed, but it's a very good offer, and she gratefully agrees. Xingyu walks into Jihoon's office, where he is still waiting for Chono. He asks if Jihoon is going home, and he says he is. Seungyu reveals that his son has fallen in love and jokes about it. Jihoon doesn't react to these jokes, and Seungyu starts asking who offended him today because he is so angry. Jinhoo refuses, and Seungyu jokes again that he obviously can't stand him. Jinhoo exhales and says it's delusional, and he likes Seungyu. Xingyu does not believe what he heard and asks if it is true. Jihoon says it's true. That's why he keeps him around despite his mother's orders. When Xingyu hears this, it's like a bucket of ice water is poured over him. He hears Jihoon say that he will behave well and not disappoint him or his mother, who set up Xingyu for him, and gets mad. Seungyu angrily growls that he is like Jihoon seeing him. It's easy for him to live. He already has everything and he doesn't care about everyone. And even despite this, Xingyu continues to support him in everything. Seungyu doesn't understand why Jihoon thinks that way and yells at him that he's a fool, that he is really his own person, not his mother's person. After that, Xingyu turns around and silently walks out of the office. After hearing this rant and seeing the expression on Seungyu's face, Jihoon is upset by what he said and feels ashamed and embarrassed. When Chono takes her daughter to kindergarten, she tells her not to talk to strangers or go anywhere with them, even if they offer treats or ask for help. Gina listens carefully. Having finished the difficult instruction, Chono stands up and asks Yena if she understood everything. The girl answers that she is, and Chono wants very much in her mind that she just grows up healthy and happy. In the morning at work, Chono is calmly drinking coffee when Jihoon's assistant approaches her. She says that she left a note on her desk to immediately go to the director, but Chono did not see anything like that. The assistant says that the principal has been looking for Chono since yesterday, and Chono's face instantly contorts. She completely forgot about the fact that she promised Jihoon to talk on the phone and come back. Chono hesitantly knocks on Jihoon's office door. She is sure that he is angry because she was gone for too long. However, when she enters, she sees him sleeping. Chono thinks she is very lucky. She comes closer to Jihoon, unable to resist, looks into his face. Chono notes that he is wearing yesterday's clothes and therefore assumes that he did not sleep at home. But Jihoon's face didn't change. Chono sadly recalls that she thought Jihoon was a completely different person now. The girl asks herself, is Jihoon's mother to blame for everything that happened? Chono leans down, their faces close. Chono wonders if everything is really Jihoon's mother's fault. Does she know about Gina? Chono decides that he needs to learn more about Jihoon's surroundings and himself. She cries when she looks at him. Chono mentally asks Jihoon to wait a little longer. She has to figure things out and ensure Yena's safety first. Chono's hand reaches Jihoon's forehead by itself. Chono's tears fall on the sleeping Jihoon's hand, and she decides not to touch him, to postpone the moment. When the woman turns around and is about to leave, Jihoon suddenly wakes up. Jihoon grabs Chono's arm, holding him in place. He is confused and a little shocked. He asks Chono where she went and also if she kissed him because his hand feels strange. Chono says she didn't kiss him, but Jihoon continues to stand his ground with a dreamy smile. In the end, Chono can't stand it anymore and, bowing her head down, she says that it wasn't a kiss but just her tears. Jihoon is skeptical of such a statement and asks why Chono was crying while looking at him. Chono finds nothing better than to lie that Jihoon looks like her late father. Jihoon doesn't believe it, which Chono says directly. He comes closer, asks if she has his photo, if Chono can show it. Pale and nervous, Chono finds excuses that he is just as handsome. When Chono blurts out this lie, she turns around and is about to walk away. Jihoon asks her to wait because she told him yesterday that she had something to tell him. Chono lies that it was about his father. Chono says she's in a hurry, to which Jihoon retorts that he waited for her for an hour yesterday. Chono's face contorts at these words. She imitates Jihoon's words and walks away. She waited 7 whole years. As Chono sits down at her workplace thinking that her life is unfair and cruel, Inbi asks her to come to her. She asks again if something is wrong with Chono. Chono wonders what's wrong again, and Inbi asks where she went yesterday in the middle of the workday. Inbi reprimands Chono, and she realizes that she just wanted to let off steam on Chono. Inbi says that at the meeting yesterday, he and the team agreed to share the work, and because of Chono's absence, they had to do everything for her. Chono coldly fumes that the work was done yesterday. Chono continues, saying that she uploaded the file to a removable disk and everyone else should have seen it by now. Embarrassed, Inbi blushes and starts digging into the computer, trying to correct her own mistake. Chono thinks that Inbi should stop picking on her and threatening her. She is no longer going to insult either herself or her relatives. Chono thinks this is the tactic that will help her protect Gina. Such a decision sounds very good in the head, but in fact the work is very exhausting for Chono. Constant meetings, coming up with ideas, organizing meetings, and some more meetings is exhausting. Chono confronts Jihoon. She enters the elevator with him, wondering why she keeps crossing paths with Jihoon. Suddenly, Chono sees Seungyu, calls him to the elevator and holds the door for him so as not to be alone with Jihoon. Seungyu looks at Jihoon, refuses to go together. He says that another elevator will wait. Chono is surprised by this turn of events. She asks if they had a fight. Jihoon doesn't expect such a question. Chono begins to scold Jihoon, then mentions that he is her director and apologizes, arguing that he is like her father, which worries her. Jihoon asks if all daughters are like that. At the Pax house, Doin plays with Gina while his mother consults in the kitchen. He shows Gina the stone and says that it shines just like her eyes. Doin's mother admires the children and remembers that she used to be like that. Suddenly, someone rings the doorbell. Doin's mother thinks that they brought laundry from the laundry, opens the door, but on the other side stands Jihoon in a business suit and with a basket of fruits in his hands. Doin's mother first tries to understand who she sees and then jumps up. She says that she hasn't seen Jihoon in a long time and is glad to see him, and then invites him to the apartment, a little nervous. Jihoon says that he came to visit Seungyu, but it turns out that he is still not home. While the woman says she will call her husband, Jihoon gets to know Doin. They once saw each other, but it was a long time ago. Doin greets politely, and then points Jihoon to a girl sitting at a small table in the corner of the room. Doin says that this is his beautiful friend Yana, and Ji-hoon looks at the girl in fascination. Meanwhile, a tired Xingyu is walking down the street late at night and remembers how his wife said that Yena will come today, so he has to work late so as not to distract the children from playing. The woman calls him and tells him that he must return home urgently because Jung Ji-hoon has come. Xingyu is in shock. Meanwhile, Doin brings Ji-hoon drinks and asks if he can play Go. Ji-hoon says he can, and then Doin asks him to play, but to give in a little. Ji-hoon is surprised that a 6-year-old can play Go, but Doin says he goes to a Go learning center. Doin invites Gina to watch him play. Gina's presence makes him nervous and makes trivial mistakes. When she corrects him, Doin says he knew that anyway, but he listens to her. Gina quickly seizes the initiative. When she sees that Doin is walking incorrectly, she takes the stones from him and begins to demonstrate all possible moves. Ji-hoon is pleasantly surprised by her skills. Ji-hoon checks Yona again and doesn't understand how the 6-year-old learned to play Go so well. Doin's mother brings them a watermelon and says that Gina is just a charming girl. Ji-hoon agrees. The conversation turns to her father, and Gina says that she does not have a father. Ji-hoon is embarrassed by the question, until Doin offers to give her his. A cough is heard from the door at this phrase. It is Xingyu who has returned. Ji-hoon is about to talk to Xingyu, but before he says goodbye to Yena, the girl asks if he will come back because she had a lot of fun playing with him. Ji-hoon says he is busy. Gina does not let go and asks to come at least in 3 weeks. She stands on tiptoe and pulls Ji-hoon by the hem of his jacket. The girl insistently asks Ji-hoon to come and stand so close that he is surprised by her insistence in passing. He agrees to come on Monday in 3 weeks, but is sure she will forget. Ji-hoon and Sung-yu are walking down the street. Sung-yu's arms are crossed over his chest, still resentful of Ji-hoon for being his mother's man. Ji-hoon promises him that the conversation won't take long. The two of them cross an intersection, and a few minutes later, Chono runs across the same intersection from the other direction, hurrying after work to the Pak family to take Gina home. Jinso, Doin's mother, warmly greets Chono. She is happy to see her. But Chono is even more happy to see Yen rushing towards her in the corridor. Jinso is very happy that Yena is now spending time with them. Chono picks up Gina and they walk home along the evening street. Chono asks her daughter if she had fun today. Gina answers that yes, but when asked how, she smiles slyly and says that it is a secret. Chono is surprised that Gina has a secret even from her, but accepts it. She loves her daughter very much. Gina asks if she can go to Doin's again on Monday in 3 weeks, and her eyes are dreamy as she does so. Seung-yu and Ji-hoon are sitting at a table with cans of beer. Seung-yu asks what Ji-hoon is apologizing for. Ji-hoon says that for being too harsh with him and calling him his mother's man. Seung-yu is touched. He didn't expect to hear this from Ji-hoon. However, he says that he hasn't fully forgiven Ji-hoon, and if he thinks that everyone around him is a stone without feelings, then he is wrong. Seung-yu remembers that 7 years ago before the attack, Ji-hoon was a completely different person. There was a spark in his eyes. He was always smiling and much more empathetic than now. After the attack, everything changed. Xingyu thinks that the incident took away a friend from him and he would like to get him back, but he can only be around. He sensitively tells Ji-hoon that he is a part of his life. Seung-yu really hopes that the winter of Ji-hoon's life will end soon. Weed thanks Ji-hoon for coming and also apologizes for the rude words. And he is also interested in why he came so late. Ji-hoon smiles and remembers how in the elevator, Lee Jono advised him to be honest with Seung-yu. Even if he has already left work, why not Ji-hoon search for him on his own? The next day, Ji-hoon walks into the meeting room and sees Chono chatting cutely with Ji-hoon. He tells the woman that she already has the entire notebook written out, to which Chono replies that she is actively studying. Ji-hoon doesn't like to see Ji-hoon cooing with Chono, so he comes over, asks what time the meeting will start, and sends him away with the minutes of last week's meeting. Chono isn't too happy that Ji-hoon interrupted her conversation, but Ji-hoon sits down next to her and says that thanks to her, he reconciled with his friend. He thanks her for the advice and Chono is pleased to hear that. Chono remembers her words in the elevator and is surprised that Ji-hoon listened to her. She says that she is very happy to hear this, but she herself thinks that she should have said these words to herself 7 years ago and not give up. Jihoon suddenly says that if Chono misses his late father, he can come to him. Chono didn't expect to hear that and questions again if she really heard what she heard. Jihoon says that she said before that he looks like her father, so he invites her to come see him sometimes. Chono is confused and politely declines the offer.